Welcome to our 7th video, our 5th lecture, Muscles of the Hip and Rear today. And we'll be going through lots of different muscles today. Some of them you will not have to know action, origin, and insertion, and I'll make sure to point those out to you, which ones those are. First, we have psoas major or psoas major. Either one is fine. The origin is all along the spine, as you can see here, and the insertion is down here on the femur. And its job is to flex the thigh, so to bring that thigh up towards the spine or up towards the rib cage. So to flex the thigh. It is called the iliopsoas in the cat. It's the same muscle, it's just called something slightly different in the cat. Next, we have the pectineus. The pectineus is right here. There are 3 muscles listed on this picture. Here's the pectineus. It's really kind of small. Its origin is on the pubis. Its insertion is here on the femur. And its action is to adduct the thigh, so to bring the thigh in to the midline. Next, we have the gracilis, and it's a really thin muscle. It's really long. Its origin is here on the pubic symphysis and on the pubis. Its insertion is all the way down here on the tibia. It's a really long muscle. Its action is to flex the knee. It also adducts the thigh and helps to medially rotate the tibia on the femur. It has quite a few jobs. But if you know that it flexes the knee, I will be happy with that. Oh, one last thing. The gracilis is really kind of thin in humans. However, like the palmaris longus in the forearm, in the cat, this is a really prominent muscle. It will be one of your anatomical landmarks throughout this dissection. Now we're going to talk about the adductor group, starting with adductor longus. The origin is here on the pubis. Its insertion is on the femur. And its action is to adduct the thigh or adduct the femur, as its name would suggest. Next, we have adductor magnus, and as you can see, it is a large muscle. Its origin is here on the pubis. Its insertion is here along the femur, and its action, of course, is to adduct the thigh. This muscle is called adductor femoris in the cat, so it has a slightly different name, but it has the same action and it's located in the same place. Next, we have tensor fascia latae. Tensor fascia latae, although sounding like a delicious drink from Starbucks, is actually a really interesting muscle. It's this little guy right here. You can see on this picture, and it's marked, it's labeled here. Its origin is all the way up here at the iliac crest, and its insertion is all the way down here at the fibula. Its action is to stabilize and steady the hip. It really makes sure that the muscles are all staying in place, or the bones are all staying in place as the hip moves. And another word for this is called the iliotibial band. So if you remember that from our hip replacement video, this is what he was cutting into to get access at the hip, because it's the iliotibial band. Next, we have the gluteus maximus, which is the largest muscle in your body. And of course, you recognize it as your butt. It is the muscle that we associate with the butt. Its origin is here along the sacral ilial joint right here, and along the sacrum and the coccyx. Its insertion point is all the way down here at your femur, close to your fibula and tibia. Its action is it's the major extensor of the hip joint. So it's the one that brings your leg back as you're walking. There are two other muscles in the gluteus group that they're sister muscles to gluteus maximus. You do not need to know the origin, insertion, or action for these muscles. I just want you to be aware of where they are. So this is a side view of the hip. So if you look here, the gluteus maximus covers over gluteus medius, which has this really characteristic fan shape. That's how you tell it apart. And then, of course, you have gluteus minimus way down deep. These are layered muscles, so gluteus medius sits on top of gluteus minimus, and then you have gluteus maximus over the top of all of them. So that is our muscles of the hip and rear. That is the basics of what you need to know for your dissection. There will be some other things that I point out to you as we go through the CAT that I want you to be aware of. So make sure you pay attention to those. And on to the next.